Good morning, my name is Jeff and this is my Jaguar XK120. I've owned this car since 1975. I actually bought it in 75, titled it in 76. It is chassis number 671792. It was built, I believe, in November 1951. I have the heritage certificate and so forth. It was sold from the Hornberg dealership in Hollywood, California. And the history of the car, I really only have some anecdotal evidence of, in that it eventually ended up in Claremont County, Ohio, which is a eastern suburb of Cincinnati. But it came by way of New York. Apparently, the buyer in California eventually went to New York. And from the story, it was a woman that actually had the car and married somebody from New York. From New York, it went to Ohio. There was some evidence that it was in New York, because when I first got the car and I was going through all the cubbies and things like that, when I took the door panels off, there were some flyers from Watkins Glen Raceway, not as a participant, but admission ticket and a brochure for the race and so forth like that. It was in really bad shape, but it shows that at least somebody had been to Watkins Glen, and this car was supposed to have been in New York, so I assume that it was there. But at any rate, this couple then went to Claremont County, Ohio, where the car was apparently, again, anecdotally, there were a couple of abandoned airfields up near Wilmington, Ohio, to the northeast, where they had races and rallies in this airstrip back in the early 1960s, and apparently the husband had taken this car and participated in that and had some sort of fender bender up there where he stopped racing. At that point, there was some sort of issue with the marriage. The car was sold, and it was sold to a friend of the person from whom I bought the car. And this person, who was a machinist at Cincinnati Millicron, and his son worked on the car, and they prepared it for some autocross type rallies that were going to be held here in Cincinnati. And eventually the son would, for some reason, wanted to race it in dirt track racing. But during this time period, what they tried to do was to streamline the car, and I have the pictures of this from when I first found the car. They had taken the headlight nacelles off, and the windshield was off of it, and they had some kind of sports car steering wheel on it, and they also put a Vertex magneto ignition on it, and that is the way they had raced it, and that's the way I found it. When I bought the car from the previous owner, he had bought the car and put it in a garage, basically as he had bought from the garage, these people that had it before. It was not running. They said there was a problem with the head gasket and it was leaking antifreeze. When I got the car and proceeded to take the engine apart, the cylinder head was severely corroded, and that was why the head gasket was leaking. So at the time, this is 1975, 1976, the best I could try to do was, I had joined the local British Car Club and Jaguar Club, and they directed me to somebody who had some parts for these cars, and I purchased a C-type cylinder head. I did not even know the difference between a regular XK120 head or a C-type cylinder head, but I needed a cylinder head, and this cylinder head was in excellent condition, so when the engine was rebuilt, we put the C-type cylinder head. So in terms of originality, there's a couple of things that buyers should be aware of. And number one is the fact that this does not have the original cylinder head. All the rest of the mechanical components are original to the car. This is being manufactured in 1951. It has a lot of the characteristics of an early steel-bodied car, in that it has these chrome-plated separate park lights on it. If you go underneath the hood, and there'll be other pictures later, you'll see that it has a glass brake fluid reservoir, which is indicative of an early car. It does not have any turn signals, which the early cars did not have. This has an E&V rear axle, which is also part of an early car, particularly with the disc wheels. It's kind of neat because it has this little machine brass dipstick in it for checking the fluid. Um, Outside of any other early characteristics of the car, outside of that, well, this also has the cast aluminum fan blade for the motor. It's a 5-bladed fan. Shortly after, when they switched to the stamped steel lights, they went with the stamped steel fan. So those are some of the early characteristics that are still evident on this car, even though it's titled as a 1952. In terms of originality, this car originally was white with a tan and red interior, and there was evidence of all that original stuff when I got the car. And I originally, when I when I say restoration, it wasn't really a restoration. This is a kid in college trying to put a car back together and get it on the road, since you were able to buy these things for $1,000 or less at the time. So once it was running, I did paint it white, but I did not like the way it looked. And when I went to a Jaguar Club of North America show just to kind of see what these cars were supposed to look like, I saw a car in this color, and I saw pictures of the very first XK120 that was made and was shown at the 1948 Earls Court show, and it was this color. And I just thought this color showed off the curves and the lines of the car better than anything I had ever seen before. So I said, if I ever go about in restoring this car, I'm going to put this particular color. So this is an original Jaguar color. The biscuit interior is an original colored interior, but it is not original to the car. So, so those are the two biggest issues in terms of non-originality, would be the cylinder head and the paint color. The car runs extremely well. We're going to do a cold start here in a little bit. This car was subject to a frame-off restoration by the Antique Auto Shop in northern Kentucky. The Antique Auto Shop is well known for its restorations. In fact, I believe it was the 1995 100-point national winning XK120 was also restored by the Antique Auto Shop. This was done over a period of years. My goal with this restoration was a street restoration. This was not something where, if you get underneath, that every screw and bolt is going to be turned north and south and things like that. This was going to be all the rust being removed, the rust being repaired. It was filled with, I think, well over 100 bars of lead went into this. The headlight buckets were replaced. I got those from England, and they were fitted by the Antique Auto Shop. It has these are original PF770 headlights. They are not original to the car, but in my travels back in the late 70s trying to find parts for the car, they didn't make reproduction parts like they do now. I ran across quite a few Jaguar parts, including these PF770s, so I have them installed in here because they look really good with this particular paint. So that's about all I have to say about my car. It's a solid car. It does not disappoint. It's done well in Jaguar Club of North America driven class and in the Premier class. It's 94, 95 points. But again, it's a street restoration and it's been driven, so it doesn't come on off the trailer. I think that's about all I can tell you right now. We're going to do a cold start, and then we'll take you for a drive, and you can see how she runs and she sounds.